Hello students, welcome to revision class. So today we will be revising two lessons, that is the laws of motion and optics. So listen carefully and recall the concepts that we have learned already. So we will start revising with the first lesson, and that is laws of motion. So now we will be seeing some important points and concepts in that lesson. So starting off, what is meant by a force? A push or a pull is needed to make the bodies to move from the natural state, that is from the rest state, is called as force. If you see this image, then you can get a clear idea about what is force. And then what is motion? The change in position of the object is called as motion. And then we saw about inertia. What is meant by inertia? The property of the body to change its state from rest or uniform motion unless influenced by an external force is called as inertia. Then we saw three Newton laws. We'll see one by one. The first law states that every body continues to be in a state of rest or the state of uniform motion along a straight line unless it is acted upon by some external forces. It gives the definition of force as well as inertia. This law is also called as law of inertia. So if you see this image, there is a fruit bowl. Underneath there is a tablecloth. If I want to remove the tablecloth without disturbing the bowl, there is a trick, and that trick is purely based upon Newton's first law. That trick is purely based upon Newton's first law. So if I take the tablecloth quickly, the force acting on the bowl will be very small, so the inertia of the bowl will keep them on the table. The inertia will act upon the bowl and it will keep on the table. Faster we take the tablecloth, the bowl stays still. So the next topic that we saw is the types of forces. So there are two types of forces. Generally they are like parallel forces and unlike parallel forces. So both these forces are parallel to each other, but in like parallel forces they will travel in the same direction, whereas in the unlike parallel forces they will travel in the opposite direction. Then we saw about the resultant force. When several forces act simultaneously on the same body, then the combined effect of the multiple forces can be represented by a single force, and that force is known as resultant force. So if the resultant force is equal to 0, then we call it as balanced force. If the resultant force is not equal to 0, then we will call it as unbalanced force. And then we saw about the moment of force, or we usually say it as torque. So what is meant by a torque? The turning effect of a force about a fixed point or a fixed axis is called as a torque, and this is the expression for the torque. And then we saw about the Newton's second law, in which the force acting on the body is directly proportional to the rate of change of linear momentum of the body, and the change in momentum takes place in the direction of the force. So F is equal to ma, that is force is equal to mass into acceleration. So if you see in this image, the bicycle is termed as mass, and the leg muscles which push and pull the pedals is termed as force. So how much the force you give, the acceleration will be more. So this will be the easiest example for Newton's second law. We are going to see about the unit of force. In terms of SI unit, the unit of force is Newton, and we denote it as N. In terms of CGS, the unit of force is dyne. So now we are going to see the definition for 1 Newton. That is the amount of force required for a body of mass 1 kg produces an acceleration of 1 meter second power minus 2 is called as 1 Newton, and we can even write 1 Newton is equal to 1 kilogram meter second power minus 2. Now we are going to see the definition for 1 dyne. The amount of force required for a body of mass 1 gram produces an acceleration of 1 centimeter second power minus 2 is called as 1 dyne, and 1 dyne is equal to 1 gram centimeter second power minus 2, and also 1 Newton is equal to 105 dyne. I repeat, 1 Newton is equal to 105 dyne. And now we are going to learn about the unit force, that is the amount of force required to produce an acceleration of 1 meter second power minus 2 in a body of mass 1 kg is called as unit force. I repeat, the amount of force required to produce an acceleration of 1 meter second power minus 2 in a body of mass 1 kg is called as unit force. So the next topic that we saw is the impulsive force. A large force acting on a very short interval of time is called as impulsive force. That is J is equal to F into T, and the expression will be J is equal to del P. And then we saw the last Newton law, that is Newton's third law, that is very familiar for everyone. For every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. So if you see in this image, this old man is giving some force to put the ball that side, and that same force is applied on him. And then we saw the principle of conservation of linear momentum, in that the absence of an external force, the algebraic sum of the momentum after the collision is numerically equal to the algebraic sum of the momentum before collision. I repeat, the absence of an external force, the algebraic sum of the momentum after collision is numerically equal to the algebraic sum of the momentum before collision. And then we saw the Newton's universal law of gravitation, which is F is equal to G m1 by m2 divided by r squared. G is the universal gravitational constant with a value 6.674 into 10 to the power of minus 11 Newton meter squared, kilogram minus 2. And then we saw about the mass and the weight. So mass of the body is defined as the quantity of matter contained in the body. So mass is defined as the quantity of the matter contained in the body. But what is meant by weight? A weight of the body is defined as the gravitational force exerted on it due to the Earth's gravity alone. So weight is termed as the gravitational force exerted on it due to the Earth's gravity alone. And then we saw about the apparent weight, that is the weight of the body acquired due to the action of gravity and other external forces acting on the body. So the next lesson that we are going to revise is the optics. So we already saw about the meaning of light, so we'll recall it once. So light is a form of energy which travels in the form of waves. So the path of the light is called as the ray of the light. So if you see, this is a ray of light, and these group of rays of light are called as beam of light. And then we saw the properties of light, so we will recall it once. So the light is a form of energy. It will travel in a straight line, and the light does not need any medium to propagate. It can even travel in vacuum. The speed of the light is given here. Just you can recall these 4 properties of light. And then we saw about the refraction of light. So what is meant by a refraction? When a ray of light travels from a transparent medium to another obliquely, the path of the light undergoes deviation. This deviation of ray is called as refraction. Remember, this deviation of ray is called as refraction. And then we saw 2 laws of refraction. That is, the first law of refraction states the incident ray, the refracted ray of the light, and the normal to the refracting surface all lie in the same plane. So the incident ray, refracted ray, and the normal lies in the same plane. And then we saw the second law, that is the ratio of the sine angle of incidence and the sine angle of refraction is equal to the ratio of refractive indexes of the 2 media, and we call the second law of refraction also Snell's law, and the expression is given as sin I divided by sin r is equal to mu 2 divided by mu 1. I repeat, sin I divided by sin r is equal to mu 2 divided by mu 1. And now we are going to see about the lenses. So lenses is a very interesting topic. We will recall it. So a lens is an optically transparent medium bounded by two spherical refracting surfaces or one plane and one spherical surface. So the lenses are of two types. So in one lens both the sides will be refracting surfaces, but in another lens one side will be a plane surface and another side will be a refracting surface. So now if you see this image, this is the image of convex and concave lenses. So the two major lenses are concave and convex. So we call the concave lenses or biconcave lenses, convex lenses or biconvex lenses. So we'll start off with convex lenses. So if you observe this image, this middle part is very thick comparing to the end. So if a ray of light falls in it, it will travel inward, it will bend and travel inward and get closer, meeting at a focal point. But if you see in the concave lenses, the middle part is very thin comparing to the edges. So when a light ray hit it, the image will be formed which is very small comparing to the actual image, but that image will be very clear and crisp. We can even have a trick to remember which is convex and concave mirror. If you invert this mirror, if you invert this lens, then it will look like a cave. So the lens which look like a cave, that it will be bounded like this. So then it is known as a concave lenses. The opposite of concave lenses is convex lenses. And now we are going to see the application of concave and convex lenses. Concave and convex lenses play a very important role in our day-to-day life as well as in science, in the field of science. But now we are going to concentrate on the main features or main applications that we use in our day-to-day life. First, the concave lenses are used as a eye lens in Galilean telescope. They are also used as a spy hole mirror in the doors, and then they are also used to correct the defect of vision called as myopia, that is the short sightedness. And now moving on into the applications of convex lenses, then we have another three applications. That is, the first one, the convex lenses are used as camera lenses and then they are used as magnifying lenses. These convex lenses usually magnifies an object, that is, it will elaborate the size of an object when we see. And it is also used as a rear view mirror, because if we use a convex mirror as a rear view mirror in our bike or car, then we will get a larger field view, that is, we can get a larger perspective what is going behind, that is, we can see the traffic very clearly. So we usually use convex lenses as a rear view mirror. And then we saw about the human eye, the structure of human eye. If you observe this image clearly, then you can get an idea of the structure of human eye. In that, we saw in detail about the iris, the pupil, the lens, the ciliary muscles, etc. And then we moved on to working of eye, and then we saw the defects in eye. So the main three defects are myopia, hypermetropia, presbyopia. I repeat, myopia, hypermetropia, presbyopia. So what is meant by myopia? Myopia means defect in short sight. The hypermetropia means long sight, and presbyopia is caused due to aging. So today we have revised two lessons, that is the laws of motion as well as optics. I hope all of you are very clear with the concepts that I have revised today. Go through the lessons thoroughly and study well. Thank you, children.